All right, y'all, what is going on? This is your man, L. Jamal, coming through with another edition of Never Out of Bounds. Of course, this is the place where you can say what you want as long as you got them facts. Today, we got some international news to go over regarding this coronavirus. We do have some updates. We have some national updates as well. Of course, things are opening. We're going to talk about some of the numbers that we're standing at right now. Like I said, we're going to get into the global news, the global impact, also the effect on this national level. And then also, we're going to get into some sports as well. I've been holding this back for a little while, but I got the review ready for you guys. Michael Jordan's last dance. We're gonna be talking some 90 Chicago Bulls. So let's get into it. Of course, with this coronavirus news, and according to the Guardian, an article written recently by them, rates of new coronavirus cases have actually gone down 81% since the global lockdowns, with many countries basically lifting those restrictions. I'm pretty sure you guys are aware, especially here in California. We are opening up schools, opening up restaurants, businesses, so on and so forth. It is a slower process. I'm pretty sure there's some states that are pretty much open back up, but there's pretty much a global process to do that as well. And it has been reported, however, that the country of New Zealand has zero active cases of the virus. They have pretty much eliminated the virus, no new cases. And according to Jacinda Ardern, the country's prime minister, she says that their government implemented strict guidelines requiring residents to basically not leave the house for up to 4 weeks. So again, I think with New Zealand have a smaller population than the U.S. It's a little bit easier to maintain something like that. Again, there's 350 million people in this country, just 35 million people in this state that I live in alone. So I've kind of find it hard for that to be, not to say that, it's not possible, but for a smaller country, yes. But for a country like America, when there's so many freedoms that we believe that we have, so much that we feel like we already feel that we're entitled to, all of us, to be honest with you, it probably wouldn't have been as easy. We are lucky to have gotten what we got, and to be honest, I'll tell you why in just a little bit. So for New Zealand, like I said, they were in the house for up to 4 weeks, and the number of cases in the country never topped 1,500, and there were only 22 deaths. On the contrast, of course, with all the stuff that America has going on, they think that they don't need to stay in the house. Of course, you have all these, protests going on. You have that. Either we'll stay at home. Now we have the social justice warriors out, which I understand. I get it. We are having some more cases. We're having some spikes. However, with that being said, the U.S. has the highest number of cases worldwide, with almost 2 million. With that being said, there's only 350,000 people recovered. Maybe a few more, but again, for whatever reason, people are getting this sickness and it's hard to fight it off. So again, this is all just to keep you guys aware. In California, in my home state, there's 90,631 confirmed cases, and there's been 3,708 deaths. Again, the number of recoveries are not that high. However, it all depends on where you're at, because in Sacramento County, there were 1,336 confirmed cases with 1,092 recoveries. So again, it's all about where you're at. Probably your, I would say probably foot traffic in your area, traffic in terms of people, that might have a lot to do with it, because apparently the cases in the Bay Area are significantly high, especially in cities like Oakland, San Francisco. Like I said, Sacramento County and the city has one of the lowest infection rates in the country. So go figure. There you go. So that's weird there. Just moving on, like I said, there are, actually the U.S. actually accounts for 25% of the world's deaths due to the coronavirus, over 110,000. So that's what you have there. Of course, our answer, our response, in my opinion, to the virus and what was going on, especially by our government, you can say what you want. I thought it was lacking. I thought it was a little late, and I think that's why. And then not only that, you have a twofold thing here. You have a government that's late to the party, that didn't really want to acknowledge that we had an issue, and then you had a populace that was like, look, we don't want to be stuck in the house, we don't want to do this, we don't want to comply with this. And I think that's what you got, and you got to deal with it. And just because America, it gives you so many different leeways and so many different freedoms. Again, In China, they were able to come to people's houses, forcing in the house. You couldn't do nothing. America, here we are, we grabbing guns and we fighting to be lit out the house. So that's the difference there. So take it with take it as you will. We just have a different way of handling stuff. Our citizens have a different way of viewing things. I personally think it's a serious thing. I mean, of course, I don't think it's something that's we're all gonna die from it, something, oh my god, but it's significant. Again, when you add all the other illnesses we have going on out here, the fact that we really don't know, because again, the more research, and I plan, this is what I've been working on, this is a personal goal I've been having. I'm looking to find a source, a real honest source of where this is coming from. Again, I'm not 100% official on the bat concept. Again, there's some issues there. Even when you find those sources that claim that, there's some iffiness there. So there's no real telling where this came from. So it's very important to kind of know about it and to at least respect the fact that it's here, to be prepared to wear masks in certain places, to wear gloves. I'm not saying wear them everywhere you go, keep them on you. Same thing with a mask. It's just one of those things that you just need to be prepared for. I'm not saying that you have to be paranoid. I'm not saying that people have to change their way of life per se, but just be aware, because again, there's some things that we're going to find out in just a little bit. Now, again, moving on, there's 15 other countries with I guess infection rates or deaths of 100,000 or more. There's 15 countries where their death total is 100,000 or more. Now the shutdowns worldwide have saved many lives. For example, in the U.S., 60 million lives have been saved just through the implementation of the stay-at-home orders, closing down the schools, businesses, so on and so forth. 60 million lives. In China, they avoided 285 million cases. Of course, much bigger population, a lot more people. But again, these stay-at-home orders, as much as we wanted to argue them, as much as we wanted to go to the courthouses with our guns to fight them, as much as we wanted to rally against them, they were actually helping us. Because honestly, we don't know too much about this virus. We don't. And our government doesn't know, and they're not, whatever they do know, they're not really telling us, because again, they don't want to have to keep this motherfucker closed. And I get it. People don't want to have to stay at home. That's just the way that we are in this country. We don't really see the bigger deal with this, and that's just in a way that's kind of unfortunate, but that's just the way it is. But again, in the U.S., 60 million cases have just been prevented by just being in the house and just implementing some of the lighter measures. And I think in terms of, how other countries responded, we had some of the more lenient procedures and all that. Again, it sucked that some of our businesses were closed, but it wasn't like you weren't able to get the food. You weren't able to come outside your house. It was just monitored how you just couldn't, be in large groups. And again, people hated that. But again, 60 million lives just in this country were saved. So you gotta look at it like that as well. In terms of what is going on around the world, India has reached 257,000 cases. That is a crazy situation, because their population is just over 1 billion as well. So their number of cases isn't an extreme number as well. It's just, like I said, it's under 300,000. Again, that's a population of 1.3 billion. 9,000 people have been actually infected over the course, I think, of with that being said, though, there's 9,000 cases, confirmed cases, being added to India's total every day. So again, the numbers are on the rise in certain places. Even in America, of course, we've had our protests. We had a big explosion of outside activities during the Memorial Day weekend, and of course, with all the George Floyd riots, which, hey, they're a part of our culture. They're a part of what happens. But again, with this going on, it's been proven that it has exacerbated the problem to an extent. Each day, in India, the current death count stands at over 7,000. However, the country is easing lockdowns as well. Of course, part of the whole global movement to open up their economies. We're going to get into the global economy in just a little bit. So, I mean, there is some worry there. So they had to open up restaurants, businesses to an extent. They're opening a place of worship there. In other parts of the world, in Singapore, half of the new cases are showing no symptoms. Their government feels a little bit positive about that. They're going to start reopening. My thing about that is, and as far as cities go, we have to remember Singapore is like a city state, so it's a city, but again, it operates, autonomously in terms of its government. But again, in terms of cities, it has the highest case of infections with 38,000. So that's just in a city, and I'm guessing they count that as, a population of over 500,000. It is a major city. So again, the new cases, half the new cases are not showing any symptoms. My thing about that is, they might be asymptomatic, but they still have it. I think the relief with being asymptomatic is maybe you can't, pass it to others. Maybe I think that's what they're going on. But again, that individual still has it, and they still have to deal with it. And who knows how long somebody can stay asymptomatic, until the symptoms do show, until something needs to be done. Because of course they still need to be worked on, right? They still would need to, they need to get medicine, they need to be treated, they need to be monitored. So again, governments are finding ways and reasons to open up. I get to an extent, but you still got to be careful. Again, I think the main thing is there's a lot we don't know about the virus. In other parts of the world, in Africa, 6,000 people have tested positive. Actually in just 24 hours, with a total of 189,000 people, a little bit over 189,000 people being affected in total in the country, in the continent of Africa. And that involves 54 different countries. A lot of it in Central Africa. You'll see a lot of it in Western Africa as well. But it's actually spread out throughout the continent in terms of the cases. But there's a large concentration within Central Africa. Within the real impoverished countries, you'll see those issues as well. Same thing with India. There's a lot of lower class people, migrant workers. That's the population in those countries that seem to be getting that. Singapore, same thing as well. The migrant worker population, people who may not have the right, proper access to healthcare or the means to provide it for themselves. Those are the people at risk. Same thing in this country as well, just like with anything else. Now, here is just some very important information. Now, there was a study done, two different studies done in the European countries and also the U.S. and China as well, basically comparing how they responded to the virus and what the end result was. This is how they ended up finding out that the U.S. and all these different countries prevented these lives with their lockdown procedures. This is a quote coming from Solomon Hussein. He is the director of the Global Policy Laboratory at UC Berkeley. He went on to say, without these policies employed, we would have lived through a very different April and May. I'm assuming he means more deaths, way more infections, and a lot more, just panic about the situation. Definitely, you'll probably, again, I agree with that, because again, there's no proper testing, especially in this country. There's no way to really know what's going on, and you could be walking around with it and not even know. I know there was a period of time, I think it was in November or December. I mentioned it on my show before. Back then, there was a period where my workplace, Trader Joe's, everybody was getting some type of illness. We don't know if it was upper respiratory, anything like that. I'm sure some people went in and got things checked out, so it probably wasn't serious or anything like that. But a lot of people were getting sick. A lot of customers were coming in sick. A lot of people were complaining to me, "Yeah, I've been under the weather," whether it was friends, family, So again, there was something serious going on. I mean, and it's still going on today. You gotta be grateful for your immune system. You gotta be, aware that it's, very important. Again, like I keep telling you guys, it sounds corny, but one thing that Hulk Hogan had right, despite him being who he was, one thing I will take is eat your vitamins, say your prayers, eat your veggies, all that type. It's important. Immune system, you gotta have a strong immune system in these days, day and ages. I was doing some research on the National Institute of Health website last night, just trying to find, like I said, I'm trying to get to the bottom of where these coronaviruses come from. Where this one in particular could have, developed. But one fact that I was seeing was that a lot of these new infectious diseases are coming from animal or cross contamination with animal pathogens. So be careful. And, just infectious diseases are on the rise in general. So immune system is very important when it comes to that. It keeps your body fighting it in a lot of cases. A lot of, a lot of the people at risk for these are the older population and people with compromised immune systems, whether because they're suffering already from another underlying illness that they may not know about, or they do, or just health issues. So again, it's important to keep yourself healthy. That's the main thing. Don't necessarily get so, caught up in having to be in the house or having, these restrictions that may come and go. I wouldn't worry so much about that. I'll be worried about my personal health and worrying that I'm, you're maintaining that water. Important. Again, vitamins, minerals. Make sure you're, intaking the proper foods. That's what prevents that. That will do enough to prevent the coronavirus from bothering you as much as anything else. Believe it or not. Here's another interesting quote here. This is coming from Samir Bet. Again, this is coming from, he is a leading professor health in terms of health in London. He went on to go conduct a different study in which they found that European cities or European countries in general have been able to lower the rates of infection to a rate that is considered to be non-pandemic. However, he went on to say, this is just the beginning of the pandemic. We are far from herd immunity. And I'm guessing what he means by herd immunity is meaning the majority of the population has had some immunity, is able to get some testing and some treatment, and we've been through it or have, are protected enough with our, immune system to not have to get it. But again, it's still around. As far as the actual experts, I'm not the expert on this, but what the experts are saying is that it's still going to be around. It's going to be around for a minute, and to stay on your P's and Q's. That's what I'm seeing here. Like I said, I mentioned before about the recent study at UC Berkeley. It was also a similar study done in London, same thing, where they pretty much monitored how stay-at-home orders, business and school closures, travel bans, social distancing, etc., affected the spread of the virus. And like I said, in every country where they implemented some type of stay-at-home or any type of closures, cases definitely went down. So as much as y'all want to complain, you gotta thank somebody. You gotta, and again, World Health Organization, Dr. Fauci and Bill Gates, you can have all your, feelings about them. I'm not interested in that. It is a proven fact, though, that we have, in a way, we did ourselves a good favor by closing things down. Again, in Europe, they're at a state where it's a non-pandemic. Here, it's still a threat. However, we have prevented many of those cases. It could have been a much bigger catastrophe. We still have to get the testing here in this country, right. We have to have, again, if people want to pursue the vaccine way, we need to develop that ASAP. And again, I don't think Bill Gates should have anything to say with that. I'm not with that, but I certainly, I'm pretty sure certainly nobody, people that knew what was going on really was not into what Trump's, solution was. Anybody who's in the know knows that wasn't right. And again, and this is not to say that I'm with, again, I don't know what the World Health Organization is necessarily, saying per se, but I'm looking at these independent studies. I'm looking at these, independent, researchers that know, that are in the field. They're telling us that, look, these can be prevented. This is how you prevent it, but it's not going. I'm going to listen to that. Okay, so let's work on prevention and self-prevention more than anything, and that comes to self-care. So let's get into this U.S. news for a little bit. Let's move on from that, and because this is some big news here. Look, y'all, we are officially in a recession, and we have been so since February. And this is according to the National Bureau of Economic Research. Yes, the coronavirus hit us in January, but when we got to remember, nobody did anything about it in our government until March. So you can't say it was because of the shutdowns per se. Yes, that definitely made it worse to an extent, yes, but it was already going to happen. I'm telling you, it always seems to happen when the Reds take over. Well, I don't see why we're never in a recession when the Democrats are in office. You tell me. There's so much about money. There's so much about economics. I don't know. It's a conundrum. Y'all explain it to me. How is it that they can never manage the money right? But remember, they're always rich. So, I mean, as long as they're rich, it's all good, right? That's how it is, right? Now, the global GDP is expected to shrink by 5.2%. You already know that means, losses for everybody around the board. Of course, this is with, business closures, bans on travel and manufacturing coming to a still. Of course, we already know about Trump recently putting a travel ban on the country of Brazil. Hey, that's the way of the world right now. So the U.S. market is still probably the biggest fighters right now. They added 2.5 million jobs to their market. Listen, you know where those jobs are at, right? We know what's open. We know what's pretty much been open, right? Okay, so let's not act like it was a big ass number. He really did. That's come on. We know where those jobs are at. Let's not, hey, come on now, y'all. And this is despite a reported unemployment rate in this month of May that's at 20%. Damn. That is kind of spooky. That does suck. That I ain't gonna lie. 20% unemployment rate. And then we're just now starting to open businesses. One thing I will tell you is the ones that's opening up, they're going to need people. So just be patient, y'all. I mean, it sucks, I know. But, once things start opening up, they're going to want workers. And if you're able to work, they're going to want you. So, it's just I understand it just sucks how it had to happen. I think if we had better preventative measures, with the country that we are, I think we should have been on top of that. We have enough technology. We have enough wherewithal to know when things are coming. We should have been, prepared. And the fact of the matter is we're not. And we weren't. And, we're still trying to get that thing together. And this is why I think the economy took as big as of a hit as it did. Now, the S&P 500 has been down by 30% this whole year. They need 1 percentage point to pretty much break even to be positive. We don't know when that's going to happen. It's probably going to happen. The question is, how long is that going to last? It's a dumpster fire for the stocks right now. I know people are going to say, buy stocks. We don't know when this is going to all come back and be strong again. No, that's the whole thing. Maybe we dealing with a populace that can't wait to, break their necks to go buy stuff and, put money into the economy. Maybe that helps. Maybe another stimulus might help in order for us to spend. But with 20% of people out of work, and we heard about unemployment, they just stopped they stopped giving us the extra benefits, so we just get the regular state, stuff. So it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. And I think it's unfortunate, but, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to blame our government on this one. They kind of going to make us hold the L on that one. It's unfortunate, but again, we could have been doing our homework. We knew that the virus was around. We knew who we claimed. We knew who, set it up. And what did you do? You kind of just sat back. January, people were starting to catch cases, really in December, if we being honest. December, November, honestly, nobody want to do nothing, And then now it's like, oh, it's a global pandemic. Let's shut things down. He didn't even want to, he didn't even want to, do anything when it started to become a real issue. So we have an issue with this country. And, And as far as all that other stuff, we're going to get to that, racial stuff later at another time. There's so much stuff going on right now. Yeah, let's talk about some MJ, y'all. I'm sorry, y'all. Let's get into some Michael Jordan and some of this Last Dance stuff here. And and let me just get into, before I get into some of my, crazy things that I took away from the documentary, let's just talk about what I, overall felt about it. Watching the documentary, I came into it initially. Well, I originally planned to not really get into it. Because I figured, look, I done seen all the Jordan documentaries I could see. I've seen, everything, I've seen all his highlights, his important highlights, whatever. And there's nothing that this documentary could tell me that I didn't already know. And I was halfway right with that and halfway wrong. Um, the things I ended up hearing were things that I heard from other sources. So those things were confirmed to me. But to hear it come out of Michael's mouth, I said, okay, I definitely, have a different perspective of him now. It's kind of weird because I respect his candor. I respect his honesty about things. I like how he lays certain things out. But I definitely saw, particularly when he was a player, there was an ego streak. There were some definitely things that I didn't respect that he did. And I'm being honest. If I'm being honest, I think if he wasn't Michael Jordan, he probably wouldn't get the pass that he did. I definitely think he had an issue with gambling, and this is not necessarily based on, I think definitely when you have to go to Atlantic City and you're creeping off to Atlantic City after a playoff game to go blow your money, it's an issue. Again, he had millions and millions. He could wipe his nose with some of his money. I get it. If he wasn't as big, it'll be a definite issue. So I think he had an issue per se. But I think, the death of his father definitely turned him around. And there's some conspiracy theories about that, but I ain't gonna speak ill will on him like that, on his father like that. Not in terms of who he was as a person, but why his death had to happen. And there's some conspiracy. There's some theories that link, Jordan's gambling behavior to his father's death. So let's just keep that real. And, again, if he wasn't who he was, if he did not have those phenomenal skills, he'd be gone. Just look at Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman, had so much stuff going on with him, and he was a great defensive rebounder, great defensive player overall, great rebounder, really did what he could do offensively. But, we knew what he was known for. But even he, was cut from teams. Even he had to, be shown the door in a lot of cases, He couldn't, if it wasn't for the Bulls, you probably would not, hear too much of bro. Because, even when, Detroit was winning championships, they said we couldn't handle you. And he hadn't even, started dyeing his hair yet. He hadn't really even gone crazy necessarily just yet. The Lakers cut him. He was about to be on that, that championship squad with Kobe and them. They couldn't handle him. And again, they had Phil Jackson there too. So, being who Michael was, he definitely got the benefit of the doubt in many cases. And I'm going to give him that. If he was anybody else, man, I don't think anybody would have put up with him. But again, when you just have those phenomenal skills to do certain things, people overlook that. I'll give you that. Now, some crazy stories that I found out, of course, that I got a chance to get confirmed was, of course, him attacking Steve Kerr. This is crazy. He ended up socking him. Kerr socked him back, something like that. Or I guess they got into some altercation. Kerr hit him. He hit Kerr in the eye. Gave him a black eye, all type of stuff. So again, you could tell he got, and you could say, and then again, people say like he's, that determined. He's just one of those guys. There's a thin line between, pushing somebody to a goal, especially if it's a common goal, and being there and being supportive of them, and just being an asshole to people. He walked that line very finely. I think you can say that because of who he was, and they ended up winning championships, and people respected. I think a lot of players, accepted it because they were winning championships. To be honest with you, especially with what he did to Horace Grant, there's just some things I couldn't take. They'd have to trade me. I'm just speaking hypothetically. I know I ain't no NBA star or nothing like that, but looking at me looking at my disposition as a human being, even if you were to add, some type of talent to me and give, some NBA talent to me and put me in that position, I don't think I would be able to. And it ain't because I'm a weaker individual. I think I'm too reactionary, and I will fight you. And I'm not the type of person that'll say, oh well, he's trying to get me. He's trying to punk me in order to get me mad at somebody else in order to get me to. No, I'm the type of person that says, oh, you're trying to punk me because you don't like me. It's obvious a disrespect thing. It's not about you trying to get, because I got a brother, and I've had friends. I got younger friends that I would, consider little brothers, and I never treated them like that in order to get them to react. It was always, nah, I'll teach you how to fight. I'll teach you how to handle yourself. As opposed to to bullying them almost in order to get them to be. I don't see how bullying somebody, makes that. I mean, again, there's certain, and again, it's just one of those things. I feel like a certain individual might be able to handle it. Me, I'm a reactionary. I'm gonna hit you back. Like I'm not gonna look at your bullying. I'm not gonna look at your shit talking and say, oh, you're just doing that because you really like me. Like again, because like you got people that say, you got people that'll roast you because they your friend. That's how. Again, unless you're my partner, I'm not gonna just let you talk to me any type of way. That's just who I am. I'm not gonna let you treat me any type of way. That's who I am. So again, I get it. I understand where people are coming from. I think I think they tolerate a lot of it because they were just having so much success. Again, if they weren't winning championships like that, again, I don't think a lot of people would tolerate Michael Jordan. That's just my opinion. And I don't like a couple things I didn't like that I thought was really petty from him. I think the issue with just two things. Definitely the issue with Isaiah Thomas, and I'm not gonna just beat on MJ for this. I think the NBA, analysis community and the NBA commentary community, that's really what I want to say. They really, are biased, and they really, I think they give people like Isaiah Thomas the short end of the stick. I'm not saying he was a greater player than Michael Jordan. I'm not saying that the Bad Boys Pistons were a greater team than than the Bulls or anything like that. But there's this stigma that the NBA commentators give them, like they're just these thugs. They were these thugs. They were just these bullies of the NBA, spectrum. But the game was a lot physical back in the day. It was physical up until almost the mid 90s, up until Michael's time, up until past Michael's time. Michael was a bully to his teammates. So the stigma and it's the disrespect, I think, that Michael carries with him, and that animosity for no reason. For Isaiah Thomas, I don't like that. I think that's very petty, and I think he uses his clout to put certain players down and to keep them from getting certain shine, and I don't like that, bro. I really don't respect that. I think he's way too successful to still be throwing shade on players that he already beat. You beat him. Why are you still mad at life? Did you really make those? Do you really feel confident and happy with your accomplishments? Because even just me, just holding regular things down in regular life. I'm not no athlete, but I'm comfortable to the point where I don't need to hate on other people. I just don't need to do that. Every time I hear Michael Jordan mention, Isaiah Thomas or somebody it's always some negative. Oh, I didn't like how they did that to me. Didn't you do that to them years before? You know what I'm saying? So get off your high horse with that. I really did not like that. I really don't like that. When I listen to it, and I listen to other commentary. Oh yeah, the Pistons were bullies. Nah, I mean, just a lot of NBA teams. In a league where things were hard, a lot of teams were soft, and a lot of players had a soft mentality. That's just what it was. Get over it. Don't be mad at the Pistons because Seattle plays soft, Minnesota plays soft. Houston played soft for many years. Don't be mad at the Pistons for that. Shit. Don't be mad at them because they beat Michael a couple times. Get off of that. And don't be mad because they didn't bow down. And I think what it is Michael's mad because they never submitted to him. They never said, yeah, you got us. Yeah, you did that. Let's bow down and shake the hand. They didn't do that. And that ruffles Jordans. I think that does ruffle Jordan, and that ruffles brothers like him. And get over that. You ain't nobody gonna kiss. Nobody's gonna kiss your ass, whether you beat them or not. There's just people that ain't gonna do that. So what? You beat them? So they still grown men. They still accomplished basketball players. They still won championships. So what? You won 6. So numbers is numbers. Okay, you got more than everybody. So the fuck what? Get over it. Be happy. Retire. Stop coming out of the woodwork to showcase and gloat to us. We know that you're raw, dog. We know that you're raw, dog. Same thing with the media. Like, get off his nuts, bro. Like, I honestly, like, as much as I respect Michael, I'm done with it. Like, that's another era. We can talk about that every day. We talk about Michael every day. Like, everybody talking about Michael. I don't need to see 4 or 5 documentaries about him. I cannot wait for the LeBron James documentary. I cannot wait for the Steph Curry documentaries and the Kevin Durant shit, especially with all the drama I cannot wait for that. I am so grateful for the players of today because of this documentary. I am so Michael Jordan down. I'm a 90s baby. That's all we had was Michael Jordan. and the Bulls. Of course, you had your favorite team. Of course, you had everything else. But he dominated every spectrum of popular media. I don't need that anymore. I don't need to revere him like that no more. Yes, he's good. Let's talk about the greatness of today. Y'all still stuck in the past. I'm done with that. You know? And, I think another crazy story, this one doesn't necessarily have too much to do with Michael. This more so has to do with, and I'll let you guys go after this one. This one has more to do with Dennis Rodman. And the funny thing is, because this is when I first started getting into wrestling. So I'm pretty sure those y'all that have seen it know about Dennis Rodman, how he would go missing and all that from practice. One of the scenes he ends up going missing, I think it was during I want to say it was either during the Eastern Finals or the NBA Finals. I don't think it was during the Finals though. But he ends up going missing. He ends up on a tape in the WCW Nitro. What's funny is that I didn't know that was during the season. I had no idea that was during the playoffs at that. That blew my mind that he really just skipped town to go to go wrestle. So, I get it. Jordan had a lot of stuff to work with as an individual, in terms of his teammates. But again, he's a great, phenomenal player. In terms of his numbers, you can say he's the best, but can we get off the idolatry for just a little bit? The 90s Bulls. Let's call them the 90s Jordans. That's how much, he infiltrates everything. The 90s Bulls were great because of Mike, of course. He is the X factor, believe me. We know this because of the season that they had right before he came back. We know this. But again, it's not like he does this without Scotty, without the addition of the triangle offense, without Rodman, without key contributors and supporting players such as Kerr, Paxson, Bill Cartwright, who he hated, who Bill Cartwright, he went the way that I would have did it. Nobody talks about this story, but Bill Cartwright checked that ass. He said, "You keep fucking with me, you ain't gonna play basketball no more." And he laid the fuck off Bill Cartwright. Look into that story. Bill Cartwright don't play. He don't fuck around. He don't kiss his ass or nothing. He didn't. Jordan was like, "Don't pass him the ball. Don't do nothing." Nah, he said, "Don't disrespect me in front of the teammates. I'll break your legs." That's a G. That's who I respect. I respect players like that. The egotistical guys, as phenomenal as they are, the Kobe's and all that, I love. They're good. They're awesome. Even the LeBron Jameses of the world, Kevin Durant's. But I love the team guys too. I love the guys that keep the glue together in the team. Tim Duncan's, Kevin Garnett. He's fiery. He can get into, but he keeps teams together. He might lash out on an enemy, and if you what's his name, Big Baby, you playing soft, he might get at you. Don't cry though. But again, I like team builders as much as I like phenomenal talents like that. Again, and don't get me wrong. I think a lot of what Mike did was team building. He just did it his own way. Honestly, I don't want to take too much away from him, but honestly, I would have had my limit. I would at least had to tell him, look, all that disrespecting me. You could work with me at the practice. We could shoot basketballs all day. You could play me 1-on-1. You can burn me and break my ankles to make me better. You can do all that, but you ain't gonna talk to me like I'm a broad. You ain't gonna talk to me like I'm a female, dude. I couldn't handle. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. As great as he was, again, like I said, I let you dog me at practice, Mike. I let you, put 50 on me at practice and say, look, you gotta get your skills up, bro. You ain't raw. I'll let you slam dunk on me. Any basketball stuff. When you take away my food, bro, nah, you couldn't do me like Horace, bro. We fighting. We are fighting. Anyway, y'all, I'm going to call it a wrap for today. You looking to get in touch with me, I will give you guys all that information at the end of the episode. Again, this is another edition of Never Out of Bounds. This is your man, El Jamal. My next episode, I want to go over, or I just came across some information talking about House Democrats and what they want to do to address this police brutality. I believe they are working on some type of bill right now. We're going to get into that. We're going to I'm going to definitely get you guys an update on what's going on in the sport and boxing world. I wanted to talk a little bit more about Dak and what's going on with him. Little things here and there that I want to get into. Of course, it's a segment that I've been saving. I've been working on this one as well. I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna blow this motherfucker up. And I'm going to show you why I'm going to call it that in just a little bit, well, when I present it to you guys. But the concept there, I'm revisiting alternative black history. And we're going to prove it right, or we're going to prove it wrong. And this is just like, your revisionist history, main revisionist history, different facts, alternative history. I'm going to break it all down. Think of it as a black Mythbusters, y'all. Yeah, think of it like that. All right, y'all. If y'all looking to get in touch with me, like I said, I will leave in the links for you guys soon. Check it out on the channel. Please check me out. Give me some support. Like, comment, share if you can. I appreciate it. I'm looking to make this my career. I've said this before, but please, all the support definitely helps me out. It gives me the motivation to keep on going. So thank you guys for what you give me so far, and give me what you can, and it's perfect for me. All right, y'all. If anybody hasn't told you yet, I love you. Peace out. One love. I'll holler at all y'all later.